weird having a prison rendo called social media. Um, uh, I think it'd be worse if I was a famous person that had millions of trends and everything and stuff like that, because I would actually believe that what I was doing was important and that I was a meaningful human being. You know what I mean? I'd actually feel that way. I know I'm important and I know I'm a meaningful human being. That's why I'm got a prison window on social media in the middle of a military genocide hellhole. So I know what's important and I know what's meaningful. So therefore, I watch the psychotic killer fighting monkeys on the TV and go, damn, this is crazy, and it is, and as long as you have insane, crazy, power-hungry people that invent human power and then fight over it, you're gonna have people doing stupid things. They're gonna murder each other. They're gonna kill each other. They're gonna smell pheromones. They're gonna feel tribalism and tribal warfare, and then they're gonna react violently to that. And they're gonna do things that are completely irrational. And that's why they said to me in Fort Huachuca, we can program people like we're programming a video game. And when I was in the service, the racial hate groups and stuff, they were probably I was going, God, they're putting these people into racial hate groups and they're encouraging this. And I said, yeah, this is horrible. Within the military itself, they have tribal and racial hate groups in the military, and they're trained and then trained to kill. And then they're turned loose back into the civilian sector. I was like, wow. And now it's obvious. That was in the 1990s, and now it's 2025, and you're like, it's obvious. They're putting them into, and then they're having them decide, which group do you want to be in to survive, and that's what they do. And you're just like, wow. And they do the same thing in college. They train you Jiddu Krishnamurti with those kids at Stanford. You're going to be a new part of this. And what are you talking about, Mr. Krishnamurti? Because you are coming up with new ways. You're the next generation to come up with these new ways to maintain status quo of the wealthy mass murdering the poor. How do you feel about that? What are you talking about, Mr. Krishna? We're going to save the world. We're changing. That's the way they think too. Oh, well, no, these people need us to save the world and change the world and make it a better place. It's like, really? Let's give Adam and Eve another chance. You never thought about listening to Jesus, obeying Jesus, and doing what Jesus says? Because how many, quote, religious institutions do we have? And who's one of the leaders in NIL? Brigham Young University, right? That's nothing like Jesus Christ. It's Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And those people are nothing like Jesus Christ. Nothing. They couldn't be further from the truth of Jesus Christ if they tried. You go study the history of Joe Smith. He's trying to be like David and Solomon, and he's trying to get away from all these wackadoodles and their money. And they're hunting him down and killing him. They hunt him down and kill him and then turn his life into, government-sanctioned bullshit. Right? It's horrible. He didn't want to be a polygamous man. Neither did Brigham Young. Oh, God, Brigham Young said, just kill me. I can't do it. No, I couldn't be polygamous. Because he wasn't that way by nature. Polygamous men are polygamous by nature. They cause conditions to have more than one sexual partner, and it's socially acceptable because of the conditions. And they're the cause of the conditions. That's why everybody, they got after that. The people in the Bible, that one, Lynn Allen's mom, saying Solomon ruined all those women's lives. I was like, no, he didn't. He had all those women. It's like, well, yeah, so did David. Yeah. And they ruined those women. They did not ruin those women's lives. It was the other men. Okay. It was the other men. It was not David and Solomon. It was the other men. What got David in trouble was trying to get women that were sexually assaulted and not having people scarlet letter them and say it wasn't her fault. She didn't do this. We're not supposed to commit suicide in our religion. Okay. So if a woman gets raped, okay, then we raise the baby to be a Hebrew and not a Sumerian, they corrupt the writings to make the narrative fit their agendas. It's in all the writings. It's in every religion. And then the living word comes and redeems the ones who live the word properly. And because life's eternal and grace is infinite. And I am the living word. And if you don't believe that, fuck you. And no, you don't want a polygamous marriage. They tried to set that up for me many times. Not with, no, with Amy, because Amy was very much into, she was very attracted to my first wife. She thought she was very attractive. And she inquired about things, and I was like, no. she goes, I'd be, and I was like, no. She goes through PTSD, and she goes through psychotic fits of rage and stuff like that. And I was in the bedroom with her, but I wouldn't. She had been with other women, and I had to show up. First time, I didn't show up. She called the cops, and then the cops told her she was going to lose her kid if this happened again. It did happen again, because she had one with a Mexican woman from the bar, and then it happened again with Cindy, or was it the other, vice versa? I can't remember. Was it Cindy first and then the Mexican woman? The cops told her if it happened again, she was going to lose access to her kid. I was going to get total custody, is what the cops told her. And then after that, instead of calling the cops when she got into it with her abusive, or she'd go through PTSD and get into it with her abusive girlfriends. And yeah, the girlfriends were abusive. No, I was not, but the girlfriends were. Cindy came after her with kitchen knives and and things like that. And so it got really bad. Same with the other girl. And Steffi told me about it. I was like, oh my gosh, Where with me, I tried to go for a walk and she wouldn't let me and throw a fit. And I would just like, I just want to leave the house. I don't want to argue with you and I don't want to fight. I'm not going to leave you. I'm just going to leave this, I'm going to leave the domicile, be back in about an hour or two. I just need to walk it off. She wouldn't let me because she was the one that started the fight and she wanted to, and I was like, what? I was like, no, we're not having this. This isn't happening. I'm just going to go for a walk. I'll be back. I'm not like, if you see that man, I eventually will get to that point if that keeps and say, I'm going to leave, but I'm not. It's like what happened, when I told her, when we were going back to Arizona, I said, when we're going back there and you get more comfortable position, I think we should terminate the marriage. And she threw a fit because she had to be how women are. No, I divorce you. You don't divorce me. So I wasn't divorcing you. I was thinking we should just be apart because we're miserable together. It's okay. Had nothing to do with me dumping you. I was like, this is horrible. Why do you want to stay in this relationship? It wasn't like, I wasn't that way. I wasn't the type of person to sit there, I'm sick of you. No, I would just sit there and go, because Yolanda did that to me. You're doing this and that and that. And I was like, yeah, but you're doing but she wouldn't do that. And I was just supposed to admit I was wrong and then do whatever I was supposed to do to make her comfortable in the relationship. And I'm like, no, that's bullshit. Cuts both ways, right? And so, but women become exceedingly irrational and unreasonable when you have economics, as the basis of your religion, in your society and your civilization. And so, they become, basically, you're, these people. I'm a parent. No, you're not a parent. You're an instrument for propaganda that has sex. You can keep calling yourself a parent and you can tell yourself you're a parent, but you're not. A parent lives the ways of Esther and Ruth. A parent lives the ways of David and Solomon. Okay. You're not doing that. You're a propaganda instrument for civilization that has sex. Okay. And that's what you are. Okay. Instead of me saying, you're bumping uglies for money, which is true. You're not married. You're bumping uglies for money because you're addicted to what you do. Yeah, and so the reason why a lot of people now, because of the extensive brain damage caused by the Wi-Fi and the manipulation through, Siri, Google, Gemini, all that, people want fentanyl and want to die. They feel completely powerless. And the thing is you don't have any power anyway. The power to your life is the glory of God. So it's not so much powerless, it's like you're being manipulated and you hate it. Now, once you stop manipulating people with delusions of human power and authority, there's going to be a radical shift and a radical change. Most people, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, and it's going to be the rapture. Most people. Not all people. A lot of people are going to hate it. The people that, I'm no longer in power. I'm nobody. Yeah. No one's going to ask your name either, so you don't have to hang up when we ask it. Hey, be clever. Someone calls, this person calls, can I talk to Jim? And Jim, it's a female, so people talk. It's a phone. Here you go. Look at their history and stuff like that. If Jim goes off when a female calls and acts funny, just, eventually she's going to say, why don't you just go stay with nobody instead of stay with me? And the guy's going to be like, you're not throwing a fit? Life's eternal, grace is infinite. Okay. Go stay with nobody instead of with me. That Brigham sure is a nice guy. And so is it Joseph, Jophis, is Tori used to say. Her dad's name Jophis. Kids are so cute. Robert Jophis. Oh, Tori Zingas. You're a funny kid. She's very spunky and charismatic. She is. Yeah, she's in the Air Force. So I was in the Air Force. Her mom was in the Air Force. Patrick was in the Air Force. Her dad was in the Air Force. Dave was in the Air Force. It became like a family tradition. It wasn't me. It was Bob Reinhardt who did it. Or was he in the Army? I don't know. Maybe it was me that started it because I joined first and then Val joined. Damn. Why do you drink? Why do you roll smoke? It's family tradition. Right. Okay, guys. We'll talk later today. We'll see where we're at. We'll see what happens. We are reducing different kinds of toxins. I'll take things slower, and we'll see how things go. If anybody can recover from toxic poisoning and live a long, healthy life, I'm pretty sure it's me. We'll see how healthy it can be with all the abuse I've been through from these perverts that you guys call heroes on TV all the time. Will you quit saying that to this? It's like telling a monkey he's a man and a man he's a monkey. It's just insane. Okay, peace.